General Hospital. Anna's daring escape reveals Sam alive. Port Charles faces its greatest threat yet. The mystery behind Anna's disappearance and the shocking discovery. The week of December 8th to 12th, 2025 marks one of the most pivotal and explosive moments in General Hospital history, as the beloved police commissioner Anna Devane and the presumed dead Sam McCall make an unexpected and dramatic return to Port Charles with earth-shattering revelations that will shake the very foundations of the town and alter the lives of everyone they hold dear. What began as Anna's mysterious kidnapping has erupted into a massive conspiracy involving secret laboratories, dangerous experiments, and the shocking revelation that one of Port Charles's most notorious villains may still be alive and operating from the shadows. For weeks, Port Charles was gripped by fear and uncertainty as Police Commissioner Anna Devane vanished without a trace. Anna hadn't simply disappeared on a whim. She had been conducting her own investigation into suspicious activities surrounding the mysterious return of Britt Westburn and Nathan West. To individuals everyone believed were dead, Anna's instincts, honed by decades of experience as a seasoned WASB agent, told her that something sinister was happening beneath the surface of Port Charles. Her worst fears were about to be confirmed in ways that would shake her to her core and test the very limits of her survival instincts and tactical training. The kidnapping itself occurred under circumstances that appeared routine. Anna was sitting in her car when a gloved hand emerged from the darkness behind her, pressing a chloroform-soaked cloth forcefully over her face. As consciousness faded, her last coherent thought was that her suspicions about the return of Caesar Faison, a man she believed long dead, might be justified after all. When she regained consciousness, she found herself in an unfamiliar room, metal handcuffs binding her to a cold steel chair, surrounded by laboratory equipment and the mechanical hum of mysterious machinery. The voice that echoed through the facility's speaker system sent chills down her spine. It was Caesar Faison's voice, or at least a voice claiming to be his. The Laboratory of Horrors, where Sam was imprisoned. What Anna didn't know in those dark moments of her captivity was that she was about to make one of the most shocking discoveries of her entire life. Trapped in the sterile confines of the facility, calling out desperately for help and trying to understand the nightmare she had been thrust into, Anna heard a sound that seemed impossible, a familiar voice responding from an adjacent cell. It was Sam McCall. Sam, who had been dead for months. Sam, whose death had devastated so many people in Port Charles, including Jason Morgan, the man she had loved for years. Anna's heart raced as the reality set in, overwhelming her with a mixture of relief, confusion, and disbelief. Sam was alive. Somehow, against all odds, the woman Port Charles had mourned was breathing, conscious, and imprisoned alongside her. When they finally made visual contact, the shock on both their faces was unmistakable. Anna's eyes widened with a mixture of relief and confusion as she struggled to process what she was witnessing. Sam, how are you alive? We all thought. Anna's voice trailed off, overwhelmed by the enormity of what she was seeing. Sam, her own face a mixture of desperation and determination, rushed toward the barrier between them. The two women quickly realized that Sam had been held in this facility for months, subjected to unknown experiments and conditions that left her weakened, but still fighting. Sam revealed to Anna that Faison, whoever was orchestrating this operation, had been conducting mysterious experiments, scientific research that neither woman fully understood, but which clearly involved advanced technology and sophisticated laboratory capabilities. The nature of these experiments remained somewhat obscure, but both women understood that something deeply sinister was happening in this hidden facility. Sam explained that she had been learning the layout of the laboratory during her months of captivity, observing the guard rotations and identifying potential weaknesses in their imprisonment. She had been waiting, surviving, maintaining hope that someday she would find an opportunity to escape and return to her son, Danny, and to Jason. Time had been both her ally and her torment, each day bringing her closer to either freedom or despair, with no way to know which fate awaited her. Planning the escape, combining training and resourcefulness, recognizing that their only hope for survival lay in working together. Anna and Sam quickly began formulating a plan that would combine Anna's decades of WSB training and tactical expertise with Sam's intimate knowledge of the facility and its security patterns. Anna, who had been trained by the World Security Bureau to survive in the most dangerous circumstances imaginable, drew upon her vast reservoir of experience and composure. "We need to stay calm and think this through," Anna said, her voice steady despite the dire circumstances that surrounded them. "I've been in tight spots before. There's always a way out." Sam, having spent months observing her captors and studying the facility's operations, contributed invaluable intelligence about the physical layout and security measures. "I've been here long enough to learn the layout of this place. The guards rotate on a schedule. There's a window of time, maybe 15 minutes every 6 hours, when the main corridor is less monitored. That's our opportunity," Sam explained, her determination burning bright despite months of captivity. Over the next several hours, the two women formulated their escape plan with meticulous precision. Anna utilized her knowledge of security systems and surveillance technology, knowledge she had accumulated over her long career in international espionage and law enforcement. Sam contributed her understanding of the physical layout and the guard rotation patterns that she had carefully documented during her imprisonment. They waited for the right moment, the precise instant when their captor's attention would be divided and their window of opportunity would be at its widest. When the critical moment finally arrived, they moved with calculated precision. Working together, they managed to break free from their restraints using equipment found in the laboratory tools that Faison's own operation had ironically provided. Moving quietly through the corridors, with Anna leading the way using her tactical training to avoid detection, they navigated past security checkpoints and obstacles. Sam's intimate knowledge of the facility proved invaluable as she led them through back passages and maintenance tunnels, guiding Anna toward freedom. "Just a little further," Sam whispered as they crept through the darkness. "The main exit is just ahead." Finally, they burst through the doors into the outside world, breathing fresh air for what felt like the first time in forever. Against impossible odds, they had done it. They had escaped from the laboratory and the man who had held them captive. The shocking return to Port Charles. Their arrival back in Port Charles sent shockwaves through the entire community like an earthquake of unprecedented magnitude. When Anna and Sam walked into police headquarters, the reactions were instantaneous and overwhelming. Officers did double takes, unable to believe what they were seeing before their eyes. News of their return spread through the town like wildfire, and within hours, Port Charles was buzzing with the impossible story. Sam McCall, believed dead for a year, was alive. Anna Devane, the police commissioner, had been kidnapped and had managed to escape from captivity. The revelation triggered an avalanche of emotions and questions throughout the entire community. At Jason Morgan's residence, the reunion was particularly emotional and charged with years of accumulated grief and sudden, overwhelming joy. Jason stood frozen, unable to process what he was seeing. Sam stood before him, alive, real, tangible. For a moment, words completely failed him. "Sam, you're..." Jason's voice broke, overwhelmed by emotion as tears streamed down his face. "Everyone thought you were gone. I thought you were gone. Danny's been asking about you constantly. He never understood why his mother wasn't coming home." The weight of a year's worth of grief and the sudden return of hope proved almost too much to bear. Sam's eyes filled with tears as she moved toward Jason, closing the distance that had separated them. "I know. I'm so sorry. I didn't know if I would ever get back here, if I would ever see you or Danny again. But I fought to survive because I knew I had to get back to him, to you." The moment they embraced represented not just a reunion of two people who loved each other, but the restoration of a family that had been shattered by what they all believed was an irreversible tragedy. When Dante Falconeri learned of Sam's miraculous return, his reaction was one of pure joy and relief mixed with professional interest. Dante had always cared deeply for Sam as both a friend and a colleague in law enforcement, and her presumed death had weighed heavily on him throughout the year. "Sam, thank God you're alive," Dante said when he saw her, embracing her warmly with genuine emotion. "This is incredible. The entire department will want to know every detail about what happened and where you've been. The revelation that changes everything, Caesar Faison lives." The most shocking revelation came when Anna and Sam explained the truth to Jason, Dante, and the Port Charles authorities, a truth that forced the entire community to confront a nightmare they had believed was permanently eliminated. Caesar Faison was still alive, far from being dead as everyone had believed for years. Faison had orchestrated an elaborate and sophisticated operation involving a secret laboratory where he conducted mysterious experiments with unknown purposes and implications. The revelation that Faison had survived created an immediate crisis in Port Charles as the implications of his continued existence began to sink in. Anna explained the situation with controlled anger and frustration evident in every word. "Faison has been alive this whole time. He's been running some kind of scientific operation, conducting research that we don't fully understand yet. He kidnapped me because I was getting too close to uncovering his secrets." The revelation that the man who had caused so much suffering, who had terrorized Anna and countless others throughout his dark history, was not only alive, but actively engaged in new and potentially more dangerous schemes involving advanced laboratory technology and sophisticated research capabilities, forced Port Charles to reckon with a threat they thought had been permanently eliminated. Sam added her perspective on what she had witnessed during her months of captivity. "He's been holding people in that facility. I don't know how many others he's imprisoned there, but whatever he's doing, it's connected to Britt and Nathan returning. Their involvement in his operation seems central to whatever his endgame is." The knowledge that there might be other victims still imprisoned in Faison's laboratory sent shivers through the community and created an immediate imperative for action. Port Charles under threat. The investigation begins. The return of Sam and Anna, combined with the revelation about Faison, set the entire community on edge with an urgency and fear that hadn't been felt in years. The police department immediately launched a comprehensive investigation into Faison's laboratory operations, while Jason worked with his extensive network of contacts to gather intelligence about the facility's location and operational structure. The knowledge that Faison remained alive and active, that the threat Port Charles thought had been permanently eliminated, was not only real, but actively operational, forced the community to confront hard questions about security, protection, and the true nature of the danger lurking in their midst. For Jason particularly, Sam's resurrection raised profound and complicated questions about what had happened during those months when she was missing and what it meant for their future relationship. He had grieved her death, had processed the loss, and had begun the difficult work of moving forward without her. Now, suddenly, she was back, and he had to reconcile the year he had spent without her with the woman who stood before him, changed by her experiences, but fundamentally still the same person he had loved. For Dante, the return of someone he cared about alive and well offered a glimmer of hope in a town that had been overwhelmed by darkness and violence in recent months. After months of focusing on investigations and loss, seeing Sam alive and knowing that families could be reunited provided a much-needed emotional lift to the police department's morale. Anna, meanwhile, began the difficult work of rebuilding her sense of security and trust after her abduction and captivity. She had survived her encounter with Faison, and she was determined to use her knowledge of his methods and his facility to finally end the threat he posed to Port Charles once and for all. The experience had tested her both physically and psychologically, but her determination to protect her community burned as bright as ever. The looming mystery. What comes next? The mystery of Faison's laboratory, the true nature of his experiments, and the full scope of his operation remained to be uncovered. The Port Charles Police Department and Jason Morgan's own investigative network began the painstaking work of tracking down the location of the facility and determining what exactly Faison had been trying to accomplish with his mysterious research. Questions swirled about who else might be imprisoned, what technology Faison possessed, and what his ultimate endgame might be. One thing was abundantly clear: the story was far from over, and Port Charles would need to come together as a community to face the challenges that lay ahead. Sam was home, Anna was safe, and the hunt for the truth about Caesar Faison had only just begun. The events of December 8th to 12th, 2025 would be remembered as a turning point in Port Charles' history, a moment when a beloved character returned from the dead and revealed that one of the town's greatest threats had never truly been eliminated. As Port Charles moved forward, the community would have to grapple with the implications of Faison's survival and work together to ensure that no one else would fall victim to his sinister operation. The stage was set for an explosive confrontation that would determine the fate of Port Charles and everyone who called it home. Next, we will learn about the fascinating romantic possibilities for one of Port Charles' most compelling characters, Ava Jerome, and explore which man could truly capture her heart while bringing the drama and excitement viewers crave. Ava's pattern of complicated relationships. Among all the women navigating the complex social landscape of Port Charles, few deserve genuine love and companionship more than the enigmatic Ava Jerome. Her romantic history reads like a cautionary tale of mismatched connections and unfulfilled desires, yet beneath her tough exterior lies a woman yearning for authentic partnership. Recently, Ava found herself entangled with two distinctly different men who ultimately proved unsuitable for vastly different reasons. The first was Rick Lansing, her attorney who represented more than just legal counsel in her life. Their connection sparked genuine chemistry that viewers could feel through their screens, creating moments of tension and possibility. However, the foundation of their relationship rested on shaky ground from the very beginning. The second was Cody Bell, who served as little more than eye candy and a convenient distraction during a tumultuous period. Cody's attention remained fixed elsewhere, specifically on Molly Lansing Davis, making him emotionally unavailable and ultimately irrelevant to Ava's romantic future. The truth about Rick Lansing. When examining Ava's feelings for Rick with brutal honesty, the evidence suggests she never truly loved him in the deepest sense. What Ava experienced was likely an intense infatuation with her lawyer, rather than the soul-deep connection that defines lasting love. Their undeniable chemistry created fireworks and kept audiences engaged. But chemistry alone cannot sustain a meaningful relationship when fundamental elements are missing. The spark between them burned bright, but lacked the fuel needed to transform into enduring flames. Ava's competitive streak played a significant role in her pursuit of Rick, adding layers of complexity to her motivations. She remained acutely aware that Rick harbored lingering feelings for Elizabeth Baldwin, the seemingly flawless nurse who represents everything Ava is not. This knowledge ignited Ava's desire to win, to prove she could capture Rick's heart and make him choose her over the wholesome, beloved Elizabeth. The thrill of competition became intertwined with genuine attraction, making it nearly impossible to separate real feelings from the satisfaction of victory. Financial motivations and betrayals. Both Rick and Cody used Ava for their own purposes, though their methods differed considerably. Rick genuinely wanted Elizabeth, but after facing rejection from the woman he truly desired, he settled for Ava as a convenient alternative. She offered physical attraction and financial stability, providing him with a comfortable arrangement until her resources evaporated. When Ava's money dried up, their relationship transformed into something darker, evolving into a blackmail scheme that exposed the transactional nature of their connection. The relationship between Rick and Ava lacked the essential ingredients for long-term success, making their eventual separation inevitable. They existed in a partnership built on convenience, chemistry, and circumstances rather than genuine compatibility and shared values. Meanwhile, Cody served an entirely different purpose in Ava's life, functioning as a tool to provoke jealousy in Rick rather than a legitimate romantic prospect. His involvement stemmed from Christina Corinthos Davis's scheming, making him a pawn in larger games rather than a genuine suitor worthy of Ava's attention. Ava's romantic archetype preferences. Despite these setbacks and disappointments, Ava Jerome absolutely deserves a passionate romance befitting her status as one of Port Charles' most seductive and dangerous women. A captivating bad girl with her complexity and fire should never be relegated to the sidelines of the romantic landscape. Her pattern reveals a fascinating tendency to gravitate toward extremes, consistently choosing either confirmed villains or exceptionally virtuous men, with little interest in the middle ground. Rick represents a typical selection for Ava, fitting perfectly into her established pattern of pursuing morally ambiguous men. She demonstrates a clear preference for bad boys who match her intensity and understand her darker impulses. Franco Baldwin exemplified this attraction when they dated, as he brought his own villainous history and troubled past to their relationship. The connection worked because they operated on similar wavelengths, understanding the shadows that define their respective journeys. Failed attempts at goodness. When Ava ventured into relationships with genuinely good men, the results proved disastrous for entirely different reasons. Griffin Monroe represented her attempt to embrace a more wholesome partnership, but the fundamental incompatibility between his moral compass and her bad girl instincts created insurmountable obstacles. Griffin ultimately couldn't reconcile Ava's darker tendencies with his own values, leading him to pursue a relationship with her daughter Kiki Jerome instead, adding painful betrayal to romantic failure. Her relationship with whom she believed was Dr. Kevin Collins revealed the dangerous unpredictability of Ava's romantic choices. She thought she had found love with the respected psychiatrist, investing genuine emotion into what seemed like a stable partnership. The devastating truth that she had actually been involved with Kevin's psychotic twin brother Ryan Chamberlain left deep scars and reinforced her pattern of attracting dangerous men. This particular relationship trauma continues to influence her romantic decisions and trust issues. Ava also demonstrates a consistent attraction to morally flexible lawyers, having engaged in a passionate affair with Scott Baldwin that showcased her preference for men who operate in ethical gray areas. These attorneys understand the complexities of bending rules and navigating difficult situations, qualities that resonate with Ava's own approach to life and survival in Port Charles. Current prospects and complications. The question now becomes, which available men in Port Charles could potentially capture Ava Jerome's attention and heart in meaningful ways? Unfortunately, Jen Sidwell has already begun circling, though he represents perhaps the worst possible option for Ava's romantic future. His obvious womanizer tendencies became immediately apparent through his rapid rotation between Holly Sutton, Ava herself, and flirtatious encounters with Lucy Coe, demonstrating a complete inability to commit or focus on a single woman. Their flirtation began with Ava's desperate financial situation, as she hoped to sell him expensive artwork to solve her money problems. Sidwell's considerable charm gradually won her over despite the transactional origins of their connection. They share intriguing links through Lucas Jones and Marco Rios, creating a web of connections that could facilitate deeper involvement. However, Sidwell's primary interest in Ava stems from her connection to Sonny Corinthos through their shared daughter Avery Corinthos, making his intentions inherently suspicious and potentially dangerous. Sidwell would sacrifice Ava without hesitation if doing so served his larger purposes or protected his interests. Any romantic entanglement with him would infuriate Sonny, who would immediately move to restrict Ava's access to Avery as punishment and protection. This scenario would devastate Ava, who treasures her relationship with her daughter despite their complicated family dynamics. Shocking possibilities and return scenarios. One intriguing possibility involves the potential return of Nathan West, though this scenario comes laden with dramatic complications and shocking twists. If someone arrives in Port Charles wearing Nathan's face, it could create fascinating storyline opportunities while delivering the kind of shocking revelation that defines great soap opera drama. Imagine Ava developing genuine feelings for who she believes is the charming, honorable cop Nathan West, only to discover the horrifying truth that Caesar Faison or his equally terrible son Peter August has been masquerading behind that familiar face. This revelation would echo the traumatic Ryan and Kevin situation, forcing Ava to confront yet another case of mistaken identity with the man she trusted. The psychological impact would be devastating, reinforcing her difficulty in trusting her own judgment regarding romantic partners. The writers nearly overlooked mentioning Silas Clay, Kiki's birth father and Nina Reeves' first husband, who represented another complicated chapter in Ava's romantic history before his untimely death. The Sonny possibility. The most controversial yet potentially compelling romantic possibility involves Sonny Corinthos himself, a connection that has simmered beneath the surface for years. Ava clearly harbors deep feelings for Sonny that transcend their complicated co-parenting relationship and shared history of conflict and betrayal. Viewers witnessed hints of genuine romance between them during the period when Sonny's medications were tampered with by a corrupt pharmacist, a scheme orchestrated by Valentine Casadini under instructions from Jack Brennan. During that tumultuous time, Ava moved into Sonny's penthouse, and something real began developing between them that went beyond convenience or circumstance. The intimacy they shared revealed layers of connection that surprised both characters and viewers alike. Their relationship holds potential for genuine depth and passion, built on years of knowing each other's darkest secrets and most vulnerable moments. However, the likelihood of General Hospital writers fully exploring this romantic possibility remains doubtful due to significant fan resistance and the controversial origins of their daughter Avery. Many devoted viewers would express outrage if Ava and Sonny pursued a serious romantic relationship, particularly given that Avery was conceived in the Quartermaine Mausoleum under circumstances that remain deeply problematic. This dark chapter in their history creates obstacles that might prove insurmountable for writers seeking to maintain audience support. Nevertheless, the potential for explosive drama and genuine emotional connection makes this pairing one of the most intriguing possibilities for Ava's romantic future, regardless of whether the show has the courage to pursue it. What do you think about these potential romantic matches for Ava Jerome?